there is a part of you that never rests. Even when you're quiet, even when nothing is wrong, even when the world around you is still, your mind keeps moving, replaying memories, imagining disasters, writing stories that never happened, planning scenarios that never come true. It circles the same thoughts again and again and again, as if thinking harder will somehow make life easier. You know this feeling, the late-night spiral, the endless worrying, the over-analysis of something small, a message, a decision, an expression, a memory, until it becomes something huge. We call it overthinking, and we often treat it like a personal flaw, like something broken inside us. But what if it isn't? What if overthinking is not a failure of the mind, but a survival system that has lost its place in the modern world? What if the brain you carry today was built for a world that no longer exists? This is the story of why humans overthink and why your mind doesn't know how to stop. Long before cities existed, before writing, before tools, before even language, the brain had one job: keep you alive. Every sound, every movement, every shadow was a potential threat. Not metaphorically, literally. A rustle in the grass could be wind or a predator. A stranger approaching could be a friend or a rival. A wrong decision was not embarrassing. It was deadly. In that world, the brain's ability to predict danger was more valuable than speed or strength or intelligence. So evolution built a thinking machine that was always looking ahead, always preparing, always anticipating, always imagining what could go wrong. It didn't do this to torture you. It did it to protect you. The early human who relaxed too much was removed from the gene pool. The one who worried, hesitated, double-checked, and imagined worst-case scenarios, that human survived. Your mind today comes from the lineage of warriors who lived long enough to have children. Overthinking is the echo of ancient vigilance. But as humans evolved consciousness, this protective vigilance began forming something new: the ability to think about thinking, to analyze problems before they existed, to run simulations in the mind. This ability made early humans extraordinary, and it also created the first seeds of anxiety. Because once the mind could imagine the future, it could also fear it. Overthinking isn't just about the future. It's also about the past. Humans are the only species that can replay memories with such accuracy and emotion. We don't just remember events, we remember the feeling of them. The pain, the shame, the loss, the regret. We relive them again and again, because memory itself evolved as a survival tool. A painful memory is a warning sign, a lesson written into the nervous system. Our ancestors couldn't afford to forget traumatic experiences. The ones who forgot were the ones who didn't stay alive. So the brain built a system that replays painful scenes until it believes we've learned every possible lesson. It's not trying to hurt you. It's trying to protect you by forcing you to remember. But the brain of the modern human doesn't understand context. It doesn't know that a mistake in a conversation won't get you killed. It doesn't know that a rejection won't exile you from a tribe. It doesn't know that a bad decision won't destroy your entire future. It treats emotional pain as if it were physical danger. So it replays it over and over, hoping repetition will keep you safe. Overthinking isn't a glitch. It's an outdated safety mechanism. If there is one thing the human brain despises, it is uncertainty. In the ancient world, uncertainty was lethal. If you didn't know where predators hid, where food was, what other people were thinking, or what tomorrow would bring, your chances of survival dropped sharply. So the brain developed a deep instinct to eliminate uncertainty as much as possible. This instinct didn't go away when we entered the modern world. Instead, it got worse, because now our lives are filled with questions that cannot be answered. What does this person really feel? What will happen to my future? What if I make the wrong choice? What if something goes wrong? What if I'm not good enough? The brain tries to solve these questions with the same ancient logic, by thinking more, by analyzing, by imagining scenarios, by searching for the perfect answer. But uncertainty is no longer a predator in the bushes. It's a permanent part of human existence. And so the brain fights a battle it can never win. This battle creates overthinking. Your mind isn't overactive. It's scared, and uncertainty is the enemy it cannot defeat. Humans are storytelling creatures. We tell stories about our past, our future, our relationships, our failures, our worth, our identity. And every story your mind tells has one purpose: make sense of the world so you feel safe. When the brain doesn't know the truth, it invents one. When someone doesn't reply, the brain writes a story. When something goes wrong, the brain writes a story. When you make a choice, the brain writes a story. These stories feel real. They feel personal. They feel like truth. But they are just the brain trying to protect you from ambiguity. Overthinking happens when the brain can't stop writing stories because it believes that somewhere in one of those imagined scenarios is the information it needs to keep you safe. But here's the problem. The brain can imagine more danger than reality will ever contain. It has infinite imagination and zero patience for uncertainty. And so we get stuck between the stories we fear and the truths we cannot know. Underneath every overthought scenario is the same core emotion: fear. Not fear of monsters, not fear of chaos, not fear of something external. Overthinking comes from a much older, deeper fear: the fear of not being enough, losing, belonging, being rejected, being misunderstood, making a mistake, disappointing others, being alone, being judged, failing, or failing someone's expectations. Every human fear is social, because for 99% of our history, being socially accepted was survival, and being rejected was death. Overthinking is the brain trying to protect your place in the tribe, even though tribes no longer determine survival. When you analyze every word you said, every expression you made, every mistake you think you committed, your brain is asking one question: am I still safe with the people around me? You don't overthink because you're weak. You overthink because you're human, and humanity evolved inside the threat of losing connection. There is another reason we overthink more today than ever before. The modern world is unlike anything the human brain evolved to handle. We were built for small communities, not millions of strangers; For slow change, not constant updates. For simple threats, not complex, emotional ones. For silence, not noise. Not notifications. Not comparison. Not limitless information. Not infinite choices. Your ancient mind is overwhelmed. It wasn't designed for social media, for dating apps, for career paths, for global news, for overstimulation. It responds to these things the only way it knows how. It thinks harder. It tries to predict more. It tries to process more. It tries to control more. But the modern world cannot be controlled or predicted the way the ancient world could. So the brain spirals, not because it's broken, but because it's overloaded. Humans gain something no other creature on Earth possesses: meta-consciousness, the ability to observe our own thoughts. But this gift is also a burden. We know we exist. We know we can think. We know we can imagine. We know we can fear. We know we can regret. We know life is uncertain. We know we can lose what we love. No animal wakes up thinking about purpose or meaning or potential or judgment or identity. But we do. And because we can imagine so many possible futures, we can fear them. Overthinking is the shadow of consciousness. It's the price of being aware. Even though overthinking hurts, there is a reason your mind refuses to let it go. The same imagination that creates spirals also creates solutions. Innovation, art, empathy, planning, understanding, reflection, growth. The same brain that fears is also the brain that dreams. Humans can imagine danger, but we can also imagine beauty and hope and possibility. The ability to think deeply is not the enemy. It is the reason our species survived. Overthinking is simply deep thinking turned against itself. The goal is not to silence your mind. It is to guide it, to teach it the difference between imagination that protects you and imagination that imprisons you, to remind it that you are safe even when it feels uncertain, to remind it that not every thought is a threat, not every unknown is danger, not every fear is prophecy. You are not broken. You are not weak. You are not failing. You are simply human, carrying an ancient brain through a modern world. A brain that loves you enough to fear for you. A brain that protects you even when it hurts you. A brain that evolved to think deeply because deep thinking once saved your life. And now it is learning how to save you again. Overthinking is your brain's way of trying to keep you alive. In a world it doesn't understand, it is a survival instinct caught inside an overstimulated century. But the fact that you can observe your thinking, that you can witness your own spirals, means something hopeful. You are not trapped in your thoughts. You are the one hearing them. And that awareness is the beginning of freedom. This is Originify, where we explore the hidden origins of the mind, the behaviors we never question, and the stories that shape who we are. If you want to understand your mind more deeply, subscribe and keep wondering with us.